So, what's the hidden danger of waiting until you're 65 to retire? How bad can that actually be? That's when most people retire, right? It feels safe, responsible, normal. That's what we're told through media, and the rule of thumb is retirement 65. And honestly, I wish that was true. But after more than 20 years of working with people planning for retirement, I can tell you there's a major trap that catches people off guard all the time. It has nothing to do with the stock market crashing or running out of money. The biggest risk of retiring at 65 is that you may already be out of time. Not time to live, but time to truly enjoy your retirement, your golden ages, the remaining life that you have. In fact, I say that time is, in fact, your largest asset. There's a number most people have never heard of, and it may be more important than your net worth, your Social Security, strategy, or even your investment returns. It's called your healthy life expectancy. And once you understand it, you may never look at retirement the same way again. You see, most people obsess over one question: how long am I going to live? But honestly, that's the wrong question. The better question is, in fact, how long will I be healthy enough to enjoy my retirement? Because there's a massive difference between being alive and truly living. Retirement isn't just about existing, it's about traveling, hiking, golfing, spending time with grandkids, being out on the lake, having your energy, independence, your freedom. There's a lot to retirement that you want to enjoy. And once you lose the capability to do those things, you're not really living, you're just existing. So eventually, for most people, there comes a point where their health starts to limit those things that we just talked about. And that's what healthy life expectancy really measures. Not when you die, but when the average person begins experiencing meaningful health limitations. And when you look at the global data, the United States has a serious problem. There's a data compiled from the World Health Organization that tracks healthy life expectancy across countries. And honestly, some of these numbers are incredible. In Japan, people stay healthy into their mid-70s. In Singapore, 73, South Korea, 73, Switzerland in your low 70s, Spain, France, Italy, Israel, all of those have clustered around the low 70s. So naturally you'd think, okay, the United States has to be somewhere close, right? No. The healthy life expectancy in the United States is roughly 66 years old, not mid-70s, 66. And when I first saw that, it stopped me in my tracks. I really struggled with grasping that data. But because most Americans retire right around 65, that's where this becomes terrifying when you think about retirement at 65 coupled with your healthy life for Americans being kind of 66 really starts to cause you to think about, your retirement, what that plan is and how this stuff works. So Gallup has actually tracked retirement trends for years in the US, and the pattern is pretty obvious. Very, very, very few people retire in their 40s. Not many retire in their early 50s either. We do have a lot of clients that conversations around wanting to retire in their 50s. It takes a lot of commitment and effort and strategy to pull that off. So we don't actually see a ton of people do it. And so even the number of people retiring in their late 50s has been shrinking. And Americans are working longer and longer and longer. Now you see a huge number of people still working at 65 and 70, and sometimes even into their mid-70s. So for many people, that's not because they love working. In fact, we see a lot of people that are working because they have to. They feel trapped. They need the paycheck. They need the insurance. They need more savings. Or they're simply just not comfortable leaving the workforce. What I would sum this up as, they never truly built a plan that gave them the options. And so when you overlay retirement age with this healthy life expectancy, the average American retires right around the time major health decline often begins. So think about that for a second. You spend 40 years working, saving, grinding, stressing, delaying, dealing with bosses that you don't care for or customers that are hard to deal with. And then your finally retirement arrives. You're dreaming about, this grand travel you're going to take, or retiring on the lake, just north of your town and spending times in a rocking chair, overlooking the water. Maybe, spending time with your grandkids, taking the family to Disney. There's all kinds of dreams that you envision when you think about your retirement and that arrival. But right as your healthiest years may be ending, that's the trap you're retiring into when your healthy years start to diminish. And so that's where you should be thinking about time, the biggest asset that you have, and how do you maximize those healthy retirement years to do the things and be around the people you love most. And honestly, this is something that I think a lot about personally. In my family, we've had people with some health issues. I have close friends and distant relatives that have had healthy issues. And it is, as I sit back and think about what this data I saw from the World Health Organization was, when I look back and I think about these people that are close to me, it's easy for me to say, yeah, that makes sense. What they have come up with aligns. So when I hear people constantly say, I'll enjoy life later, I'll go do this later, I can do that, in a couple of years, I start to get nervous because we don't know how much time we have left. And as we continue to delay this gratification, it ends up costing us additional, our lives, additional stress and worry and concern. And a lot of times we need to embrace some of the things that we enjoy versus just continuing to work and grind. Later is never guaranteed. We don't know how long we have. So to be clear, these are averages. This doesn't mean your life falls apart at 66. My mother's 66 and still in great health. My father's 67, still in great health. You may stay healthy well into your 80s, and I hope you do, and even longer, 90s. We have clients that have lived very long, healthy lives into their mid to late 90s and even hundreds. But I also know people that passed away at 63, passed away at 58, and you just don't know when that time comes. So build your entire retirement plan assuming you'll always have time. That's risky. Eventually that time becomes the asset you can't buy more of. It is your biggest asset. So you want to make sure that as you're building this plan, you're planning for embracing some of that time, that asset today, not just in the future. So what can you do about this? First, start treating your health like a retirement account. Health is wealth because your body may be your most valuable asset aside from time. Those two things together, they're more valuable than your IRA. They're more valuable than your 401k. They're more valuable than the returns that you're getting in your portfolio. If you do not have your health and you don't have time, you don't have anything. What's the point of building this perfect plan, the perfect dream scenario on paper on the computer, if you don't have the things that help you enjoy it? You don't need to become some elite athlete. You need to take care of yourself. That means eating better, moving your body, get your 10,000 steps, spend a day or two a week in the gym, do some cardiovascular exercise, maintain some muscle mass. I read a stat recently that we lose 3 to 5% of our muscle mass every decade that goes by. And so that's part of the reason why you see people shrink. That muscle matters. Strength matters because that strength is what gives you the independence that you want and you crave later in life. So that provides your ability to travel, carry luggage, play with grandkids, stay mobile, do the basic things in life, like just go to the local Starbucks or McDonald's to get a coffee. That's what gives you that mobility. And ultimately, that's what gives you the confidence that helps you stay confident and have a positive outlook on life. That's why this matters. And honestly, a lot of Americans are unintentionally sacrificing their future health for short-term convenience. Fast food, stress, another couple of hours at work, no sleep, no movement. They're solely focused on making as much money as they can and not embracing or thinking about what the future looks like. Then all of a sudden they wake up at 65 wondering why retirement doesn't feel the way they imagined. Health alone isn't enough. You also need a financial plan that gives you options earlier. One of the questions I think more people should ask is, what would it look like for us to retire at 55? Not because everyone will retire at 55, but because asking these questions changes how you live and you think. And once you start thinking about that, it allows you to start saying, okay, how can I pivot? What if I did X, Y, Z instead? What if I pulled this lever? Those sort of things help you manipulate and change the plan so that you're not relying solely on just what the masses do, but you're actually being strategic. What we're trying to avoid is drifting, just drifting and status quo. So, you spend what comes in, you save what's left, and you hope that works out later. That's not the strategy that you should be working on. That is gambling. It's just chance. So what we're trying to do is create intentionality, being intentional, specific, measurable, actionable, creating a plan on paper, on purpose. That's how we create this early retirement dream. It's not just for rich people. It can be for anybody, but it takes decision. It takes intentionality. It takes being focused in order to do those things. So it takes discipline, I guess is what I should say. Let's talk about a few wealth rules that matter most. These are some patterns I've noticed over the last, close to 20 years of helping people build retirement plans and move into their retirement years. Rule number 1, spend less than you earn. This sounds painfully obvious. Dave Ramsey preaches this, and yet it's the rule that most people break. You can't make $200,000 and spend $500,000 a year and not end up financially stuck. It's a roadblock and a jam from the get-go. Income alone doesn't create your wealth. Your behavior does. People who gain the freedom are the people who consistently save and invest and avoid the lifestyle creep. That's what creates your options later in life. A little bit of sacrifice. Rule number 2, protect your relationships. Retirement isn't just a financial. It's not, success isn't just a financial success. It's emotional. And one of the biggest financial destroyers I've seen over the years is divorce. Now, obviously not every marriage can last or should last, but relationships are salvageable. And part of being married is the ebbs and flows of life. You're going to have low spots, you're going to have high spots. It's important that you continue to pour into each other and so that you invest in your relationship just like you would your health, your investments, your life, your work. It's another aspect that you want to make sure you're spending time. It's wise to do this. And stable relationships can often create more stable financial lives in retirement. Don't build a lifestyle that owns you. This is risk number 3 or rule number 3. I've seen people buy, giant homes, vacation properties, 3 and 4, different properties, expensive toys, and suddenly their lifestyle requires them to keep working forever. Meanwhile, some of their happiest retirees I know have flexibility, freedom. They're not beholden to all these expensive toys and 4 properties across the country. They actually live very simple lives, and that's what makes it refreshing and fun, is that they're not carrying this extra stress. That's the goal. You're not trying to impress people. You're buying your time back so that you can enjoy doing the things you love with the people you love. So now when it comes to investing, the investing mistake that hurts people the most is most people think retirement success comes from picking the perfect stock, and it doesn't. One of the biggest drivers of long-term investment success is asset allocation, meaning how much you have in stocks, how much you have in fixed income, how your portfolio is structured, how much you're saving. And this becomes really important during market crashes because everybody thinks they can handle risk till they actually experience. It's like the old saying where, everyone thinks you can handle it until it punches you in the mouth. It's one thing to think you can handle a situation, financial risk or crisis. It's another thing when it actually happens and you don't have a plan for it. So in the great financial crisis, 2008 timeframe, we've had, the pandemic, we had 2022. But in the great financial crisis, 2008 timeframe, the S&P 500 dropped around 50%. If you imagine watching half of your retirement savings disappear emotionally, that changes people. That makes people very anxious and nervous. And that's why we're seeing, number one, people working longer because they're scared to let go. But we're also seeing more people make panic decisions and make these catastrophic decisions that have a material impact on the long-term success of their retirement plan. And they'll sell low, they'll move to cash, they'll lock in those losses, and then as the market rebounds, they've missed out. So it's important that you have a plan on paper, on purpose, and something that you can stick with, because as these markets fluctuate, you have to have something that grounds you to good decisions. Good financial advisor, guidance, having someone that can provide guidance. They don't just manage the investments, they help manage your behavior. Because when markets get ugly, logic disappears first, fear takes over, and retirement is too important to guess your way through. An experienced advisor has watched hundreds of people navigate recessions, bear markets, retirement transitions, health scares, unexpected passing of a spouse, unexpected life events, essentially any situation that you could think of. We have helped hundreds of people navigate these exact situations. So those perspectives and those insights can help you. They matter. They can help you weather the storms and prevent you from making the mistakes that other people have made, especially when the emotions are high. So even with the perfect financial plan, urgency is still real, because once you're hit 60, most people have fewer than 1,000 healthy weeks left. And 1,000 healthy weeks sounds like a lot until you realize how fast moves. The weeks become holidays, birthdays, summers, anniversaries, trips that you keep postponing, and eventually the window starts closing in on you. So this isn't about fear, it's about awareness that maybe you should take your healthy life more seriously, your health more seriously, save more intentionally, simplify your lifestyle, stop delaying your meaningful experiences. Again, time is your biggest asset. And finally, create an actual retirement plan on paper, on purpose, specific for you. The goal is not just about retiring someday. The goal is to retire while you still have health, energy, and freedom to fully enjoy it. If this hits home with you, please reach out. We'd love to have a conversation. Like and subscribe to this channel. See you on the next video. Be confident in your retirement. Have a wonderful day.